Welcome back to the channel, everyone. This is Joe, the 50-something Dasher, covering my gig work for November 14th, 2025. It is a Friday afternoon. Guys, this is a video. You might want to just go ahead and pause the video now and grab like a bowl of popcorn, add some M&Ms to it, sit back, and because this today's dash was eventful to say the least. Okay, let's just get into it here. Log in at 5. I don't get an offer till 5:21. $4 McDonald's decline. Okay, just wait about 16 minutes. Mediocre Tim Hortons 750, 7.5 mile decline. Another 5 minutes. $4 IHOP. This is rare. I had like several $4 or $5 offers in these early hours here, and I'm not used to seeing this. This $4 stuff. This type of thing I see like at the lunchtime blitzkrieg, not at 5:40 a.m. This is kind of unusual for me in my market. Upside down IHOP was zone decline. And here I went ahead and put the dash on a pause. You know, I didn't. I mentioned yesterday how I had 3 days in a row where I didn't face an assault, and that was going to end. I just never expected it would have ended at like 5 a.m. today. Like I said, it's usually lunchtime. So I'm in the middle of an assault. So I went ahead and put the dash on a pause. You see here until 6 o'clock when Meyer and Kroger opens. Okay, let's go ahead and unpause it and see what we get now. Right away, 1750 White Castle. Look where it's going. Darbydale. No, thank you. Please fix the bridge. Thank you. Right away, upside down Starbucks decline. I mean, for gosh sakes, now I'm back into the 50s, 59%. 6 minutes later, $5 5 mile Tim Hortons decline. $3 McDonald's decline. and here's my first order after 179 declines. $8. This really isn't that great, but I mean, $8 5 mile Kroger, 3 items. So I went ahead and did this. It was just 2 cases of pop and some dog treats, and delivered that at 6:38. So 25 minutes for my 850. Not very good. $5 and a $3.50 tip. Okay. Here we go. Again, this isn't really that great, but let's go ahead and do it. $21, 17 mile Meyer. Only got a shop for 2 things. And it's still early. I shouldn't have too much trouble that early getting out there and coming back, but rush traffic is coming very soon here. There's my items. This was not section 60. It was like 1 or 2 sections over from that. That threw me off just a little bit. And they only had 1 of the flavors. But on the substitution, the instructions were just get any similar drinks. I just... I got they had the strawberry, and then for the other one, I just substituted mixed berry. So, 3-minute shop. Here we go. Okay, it's 7:14. I just got off the interstate and, got onto the next road on my route, and I come up behind a whole bunch of stop traffic. And we're just sitting there, and there's a couple larger vehicles. I can't see what's going on, so I sent this message. It said there must be some kind of accident or something. I'm stuck in traffic. Be there as soon as I can. Okay. And it wasn't until after this message was sent, it was about a minute or two later, I realized that it was a very, very, very slow moving train. Great. I think I once or twice before, maybe this same intersection, I got, messed over before by a train. And I think in the past, I was able to turn out of there and take a different route or whatever. And kind of, I was like, no, I ain't waiting on a train or blah 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 blah. This morning, for whatever reason, I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna sit here. I'm just gonna sit here. I'm not panicking or there was some other people behind me, angry, frustrated drivers. They were driving like on the wrong side of the street. And even like a couple trucks, like dump trucks, were driving in that wrong lane and then making a turn further up. There was even one car that come past me in the wrong lane, and there was like an oncoming car. So those two cars kind of like passed each other in one lane. So it was crazy. I don't know how there wasn't an accident with all these people getting all pissy and frustrated, and some of them were like peeling out of there, and all the violence. But I just sat there. Okay, and then about 6 minutes after this, because I wanted to take a look at what the actual delivery time was. So 7:31. So at this point, and I'm probably, I think, a mile and a half from the customer. So at this point, I've been there a little, like 7, 8 minutes. I'm still okay for the moment, but the train's still going. And then, so it wasn't until 7:33 and it's funny, like just seconds before I took that screenshot, because we're 2 minutes past the delivery time, and I'm thinking, well, this is going to go well past, the 5 minutes over. So I dialed DoorDash support, and I don't know if that would have done much good, but I mean, as long as I'm just sitting there, might as well at least try to call and talk to somebody and report that I'm stuck because of a train. It's not going to hurt. But immediately after I dialed them, the gate starts coming up. And so that's when I took that screenshot at 7:33, and then a minute or two later, I was able to go through there, and then delivered 5 minutes later. So it was 7 minutes late. So, and I sat there for, that must have been like 20 minutes, I think, all total, that I sat there. And there it is, $21, $19 from DoorDash, and there's the tip that I received for all my troubles. And that's just great. Okay. And I'm already frustrated at this point. Okay, so I'm heading back, and I get this 550 6 mile TJs heading, in the direction of coming back to zone. And I was on the phone with my wife, and I said, "Yeah, I'm taking this bad order right here, but I'm taking it." I at this point, I threw my hands up in the air. I was like, "I give up. I give up today." That, as far as I was concerned, the train like ruined the whole entire dash. Any chance, I just felt defeated, folks. I can't help it. Any chance I had of having some kind of successful dash today, as far as I'm concerned, at 7:30 in the morning, was gone, flushed down the toilet. And my wife was trying to be like, well, no, it's still early. You can recover and yada yada. And I say to myself, no, it's game over. Oh well. And I don't care now. I don't. I'm gonna work clear until like 3:30 in the afternoon, and I don't care if I finish with $75 and 150 miles driven. You know, whatever. Whatever. Day's ruined, so whatever. So I went ahead and took this, delivered at 8:02. Well, here we go. Let's keep piling it on here. There you go, 550 all from DoorDash. Okay, let's add some more insult to injury. Thank you very much. Okay, not doing it. Maybe I should have done this. The day's already ruined. Maybe I should have taken a $16 Jolly Pirate and driven all the way up to Dublin. You know, I mean, why not? But I declined it. Here's another one I could have done. 875 for 1,000 miles. Starbucks decline. 850. Did I take this? I think I took this. I took this one. You see how far away I am from the TJs though. So it took me 10 minutes to get there. And then, there's the list, 3 items. Delivered at 8:24, so 21 minutes for my 850. Again, I mean, that's not great. $4 and a 450 tip. Check it out. Dash link offer for $46.50. Okay, only 6 packages, only 4 stops, but you probably already seen the mileage before I've even said it. 55 miles, and it looks like it's going out to Newark. Folks, I took this. I know most of you are like shaking your head right now before I even continue this story. What a complete, total moron he was today. I know you're saying it. Folks, I took it. Hey, sue me. Take me to court and sue me right now. My thought, first of all, the day's already shot. Okay, let's remember that right off the bat. Okay, and second of all, my thought process here was, this is estimating an hour and 25 minutes. So and this is a big if I can complete all this in an hour and 25 minutes and at least be like more than halfway back to zone I was looking at, I know I'm going to be upside down on miles. I mean, that's a given if I take something stupid like this. But I know that, but I was looking at it time-wise. There's a chance I could get all this done and maybe even be back to, let's say, the Columbus outer belt in 2 hours. And then it's only 10:30 in the morning if I can do that. So I was looking at it time-wise. So I went ahead and took this. Okay. So, and I wrote down, I think I wrote 826. Where is it? Yeah, 826 is what I wrote down. So I wanted to see where I was at 1026. So let's see how far I get here in 2 hours. Okay, so it just takes me 6 minutes to get to Dash Link, and so then it took about 11 minutes to this next screenshot is when I get out of there. I get there, there was a line, there was like 4 other cars, and so it took a few minutes to get in. And of course, once I got inside, I only had 6 packages to scan, and then it was all boxes, and they were all small, And funny story that one of the women inside there, the workers, got after me for leaving my car running. She's like, "Your car, this is your car, right? Your car's running." I was like, "Yeah." And she's like, well, you're supposed to, next time you need to shut it off after you get parked. And I thought about retaliating, but I didn't. I thought about it, but I thought about responding back to her. Okay, well, and next time you guys need to check my ID when I arrive here. Because I pulled in, and when I was outside, before I drove in, the lady scanned my barcode, and I had my ID in my hand ready, and she never asked for it. So, I could have got after them as well, but I didn't. Okay. First drop off was in Groveport. So this took me 25 minutes. So there's the first drop off at 9:07. One thing that happened on the way to the first drop off, I was still on the interstate. My tire pressure light came on. And I'm not used to it coming on like while I'm driving. So I was a little bit concerned. It was a few miles before I could get stopped. And my car is not as sophisticated as my wife's. My wife's car, the display will show you the tire and the estimated pressure of the one that's low. My car doesn't do it. Just says low pressure, and you don't know what tire it is. I got stopped. I didn't see anything like any of the tires actively leaking. They didn't look low to me. I have in my car a cordless air compressor, but I wasn't going to sit there and, check each individual tire. I'm on a delivery here. I don't have time for all that. So I just kept going, and I was going to just kind of like check my tires after each time the car got stopped. So that delayed me a good, that was probably a 5-minute delay anyway on that, all for nothing. Okay, so I deliver this first package in Groveport, and I'm starting to drive away to stop number 2, and my phone rings. And it's the customer of the package I just dropped off. And he says, "Is this Joseph?" Yeah. And I just got a notification of the package you dropped off, and you dropped it off to the wrong place. And he's talking like a million miles a minute. And that particular photo, I got the house number in the photo. And he was like, yeah, it was supposed to deliver in such and such town, town A, but I think you're in town B, and blah, 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 and all this and that, yada, yada, yada. And so I'm thinking immediately, oh crap, am I going to have to go back to this house and grab that package and take it somewhere else? So I get this car stopped so I can continue to talk to this customer and figure out what's going on here. I get the car stopped, and I said, well, he thought that I was supposed to be in a downtown area of town A or whatever, and I'm like, well, I said I can go back and get the package, but all I know is that's where GPS directed me to, and the address matched up. Now, if there's another location that I'm supposed to go to, same address or whatever, I'm not going to know how to get to it. I'm not going to know how to navigate to it, because this is where I was navigated to. And then he's like, well, it's supposed to go to town A. You might be in town B, or it could be, I think you could also be in town C, and that blah, blah. And these places he's naming, I'd never heard of before. And I go to stop him, and I'm like, well, wait a minute here. The package I delivered, he said, I think you're in this town or whatever. I said, wait a minute, this is Groveport. I delivered to such and such Main Street in Groveport. And he's like, Groveport? And like I knew he didn't know the town I was talking about. And I'm like, yeah, Groveport, Ohio. And he was like, oh shit. He's like, you're in the wrong state. this is this package is supposed to go to New York State. These different places that he was naming off was in New York. It's it's so funny. Like in my videos, I kind of joke around about that. When I talk about long distance offers, and I'm like, yeah, look at this offer right here. It looks like it's going out to Buffalo, New York, and I do all that exaggerating and carried away and everything. Well, today here was an actual real life example of something that I had that was supposed to actually go out of state. How crazy is that? So so basically, I told, and so he said, well, and then he's like, well, okay, so that now this is a different issue here, and I know none of this is your fault. And he's like, but I just don't know who to contact next about this or what I'm supposed to do or anything. And I told him, well, I said, it sounds to me like an issue with the sender. Whoever the sender on this just flat out just put the wrong address on this package. And I said, that's where the issue lies. That's what it seems like to me. And I said, but I've never encountered anything remotely like this as a delivery driver. So, I mean, I said, I'm sorry, but other than that, I really can't be much help. And he basically said, okay, and thanks. And, he hung up with me to do, whatever all he needed to do after that. But yeah, that was, that was absolutely crazy. So again, that was probably like a close to 10-minute delay right there. And I started driving away, and I'm on my way to stop two, and then I got to thinking, I wonder if by any chance, if maybe I knowing what I knew after that guy called, should the package still have been left there? I mean, should I have gone back and gotten it or contacted support or I don't know, but then I got to thinking, probably not. I don't know. As far as I'm concerned, that the package should probably still just be left there, because like DoorDash and DashLink and myself, we're only doing what the package is instructing us to do. It says on this package to deliver to this location, and that's what we did. We facilitated that. So I don't think that that's my problem or DoorDash's problem that it's at the wrong location. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. So, but yeah, that was crazy. That was absolutely crazy. How could I don't how could you get the wrong how does that happen? How does the completely wrong city and state get, it was the address was such and such Main Street, okay? And why would you put an Ohio town versus a New York town where it was supposed to? How in the world does that happen? Unbelievable. Okay, second takes me over a half hour to get to the second delivery. That's probably like, I don't know, 24 miles, something like that. That was one of the customers that got two packages. And then another 20 minutes later, the stop three. And then I finished 23 minutes after that, uh, stop four. Okay, so there you go. There's my 4650. Now there's kind of like good news and bad news here. The good news is that even though this hasn't gone too great so far, I'm at $90. It's not even 10:30 in the morning. Okay, with a goal for the day of $118. Okay, so that's the good news. The bad news is the next screenshot. Folks, I was 50 miles from zone. So there you go. There's the bad news. Okay, I got prompted to switch zones to Newark, Ohio. And I told my wife in the middle of these deliveries, that's a possibility. Yeah, maybe I could do. Guys, I am not familiar with Newark like whatsoever. I've only ever driven through it. I've never had any business in Newark in my entire life. Know nothing about it. It'd be complete unknown. Um, so and plus because of the time here, I'm gonna get even with 50 miles, I'm still gonna get back to zone, or at least get back to Central Ohio in the lunch hour. So and also from that standpoint, I didn't see a need to switch over to that zone. So I start coming home. Um, it was so weird. I stopped on I-70 at the rest area just outside of Buckeye Lake that my wife and I always stop at. Well, not always, but on a lot of our trips back from West Virginia after we see my daughter. And it just felt so weird to me to be at that rest area by myself in the middle of one of my dashes. That's no, I'm never there at that rest area as a dasher. I'm there as a father coming home. It was weird. So I thought maybe I'd get an offer as I was coming up on Reynoldsburg. But you see here, I passed Reynoldsburg. I didn't get anything. And I'm just getting on the outer belt when I get right smack at 11 o'clock. I'm right, start at lunch hour. I'm back in Central Ohio. So, um, but, and to back up, that whole thing about trying to do those deliveries and be back, or at least to this point by 10:26, that would have been 2 hours. But no, it was like 2 hours and 34 minutes. But you had the tire, you had the wait at the dash link, and you had that customer. So if it wasn't for all three of those things, I would have done it. But anyway, this right here, I decline. I'm not messing with Whitehall. Okay, so decline that. 2 minutes later, let's go ahead and do this. Catering order from Pizza Hut, 1481, 8 miles. Let's go ahead and do it. And I did have a 7 minute wait at the Pizza Hut. This was five, no, four, I think four pizzas and like a brownie and a cookie and the sauce. It wasn't that big of an order. And then I delivered at 11:30. So you might as well say a half hour for 1481. That was pretty good. 225 from DoorDash, 1256 tip. Okay. And I'm still trying to make my way back to zone. But I get another out of zone order. 1175, 9 miles, Kroger. only 7 things to shop for. Let's go ahead and do this. My first Kroger shop at the South High Kroger. Here's the list. It was some sushi, some pepperoni rolls, and the rest of this is drinks. Um, like three of these drinks and the sushi and was all in one up at the front of the store. And I actually passed the sushi counter and asked where it was. I walked right past it and still I had to ask somebody where it was. But see, I'm so used to being along a wall, but at this Kroger, it was like in the center, and I guess that threw me off. And then I didn't see, or I thought I didn't see the California rolls, and I asked the lady, and she said, "No, it's out there," and she grabbed it for me. I thought it had to have this JFE in front of it. So I was looking for, like it says, JFE California, but I was supposed to just disregard whatever that JFE is. I was supposed to disregard that. Um, and 11 minutes. The energy shot was the last thing that I got. I thought maybe that I checked HBC first. Some stores have energy shots in that department, but it wasn't there. It was up at the checkout. Um, so not too bad there. And delivered at 12:06. So a little over a half hour on that, 11:75. 6 and 5:75. Not doing this. 1250, 14 mile Bibby Bop and Best Buy, so decline. Minute later, Upside Down PetSmart going north of downtown, decline. Let's get bombarded again here. Upside Down Raising Cane's, decline. I went in and took this. I just got back into zone, and I doing all this out of zone stuff, and then now I'm going to pick something up and go right back out again. But hey, it's a catering order. It's 1750. I don't know. And all this was 5 bowls. Pretty easy. This was easy. I did have a 9-minute wait, and I was going to drop it too, because of the fact that it was going, clear out the Alum Creek area. I was going to drop it, but I got in 9 minutes. And funny side story here, one of the drivers there had to been 6 or 7 customers, drivers standing there when I walked in. And one of the drivers that got an order and walked out of the store before me was somebody that I worked with at the W2. I was like, hell no. I didn't say nothing to her, but I don't think she saw me. But yeah, that was pretty crazy. Um, and this delivered to a place. Some places, like in customers, I recognize the address, but not like the building. And other people, I recognize the building, but not the address. So this one, I'm following the GPS and whatever. And it wasn't until I actually pulled in and saw the building that, familiar sight. And I knew the procedures there. And so how long did this take all total? So that's 30, 37 minutes for 17:59. That's all right. 325, 14:34 tip. And at this point, I'm already over goal. But I can still do a couple more orders. Let's see what we get here. And I mean, no, I got to stop this back and forth. I just came from that area, and then, and plus this is, earlier in the day or whatever, I would have taken this, but $23, 20 items. This is something I normally take, but not after all this driving. That no, at this point, I'm staying in zone. Decline. Upside Down, Wings and Rings, again going out east, decline. $3 Smoothie King, decline. $4 Taco Bell, decline. $7.75 Dollar General, but I gotta shop 9 things, decline, and that might be Darby Dale, decline. Fix the Bridge. Here we go, I guess. 7.15, 2.5 Mile Taco Bell. This might, I think, maybe includes the one that I just declined at $4, but whatever. So I went ahead and did this. These are my last deliveries. And delivered the second one. One of them just delivered it to a business across the street, and then the other one was like a mile away. Pretty easy. $2 and a $3.15 tip, and there's the other tip right there. Appreciate it very much. All right, so but that's not all. It's my last delivery, but I got some declines here. $21, this is only 9 miles, but 47 items. I'm too tired. Too tired to go in Giant Eagle and mess with a 47 on. Maybe had that have been Meyer, I might have done, I don't know. But this right here, this would took me over an hour and a half. So decline. I just, it's staying in zone and everything, but I just didn't want to go over to Stringtown Road and mess with Chick-fil-A, so that's the only reason I declined this. I probably need to log off here soon. 1075 Honey Bake going out of zone, decline. And Upside Down Chipotle out of zone, decline. And I went ahead and logged off. That took me down to finish it. Yesterday's 64% AR, and today I knew it was one of these days it was going to tank again. Here, and I said it in yesterday's video. I'm down to 55 now. But anyway, it was 15 deliveries for $141.30. You ready to hear the damage on the mileage, folks? 180 miles. But I knew it. Like I said, I knew I was going to be upside down on miles by taking that. But that was 50 miles back to zone. I was 40 miles over goal. So, those 2 orders that I got on the way back helped to where the mileage wasn't as upside down, but they just didn't help enough. I would have needed some big $50 or $60 catering order at lunchtime to offset those miles, but that didn't happen. I got the little $15 catering pizza or $12, whatever it was. The dash was 8 hours, 11 minutes, active 5 hours, 58 minutes of that. It's a little over 2 hours of downtime. Now at 5,661 lifetime DoorDash deliveries. You already saw the 55%. And that is it for today, folks. And this wacky day today. And we'll do this all again tomorrow and hope for a better day tomorrow. But hey, today was a learning experience. It's a learning experience. Hey, I'm staying positive and look at the positives of this, okay? And it'll probably be a while before I take a 55 mile offer paying $45. It'd probably be a while before I do something like that again. But anyway, as always, guys, be sure to drive safe out there. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Sign up for notifications. And we'll see you at the next video. Thanks again.